authorities in northwest China's Shanxi province say they may seek a civil claim for compensation for the damage done to a terracotta warrior statue.
This is the only tomb in the world that experts refuse to open, and the reason is terrifying. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into one of the most jaw-dropping mysteries in all of human history, the sealed tomb of China's very first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. This is the story of an ancient underground palace, rivers of liquid mercury.
He also ordered his craftsmen to use mercury to simulate rivers and seas inside his tomb.
Auto-firing crossbows, and a king so obsessed with power and immortality that even his death came with booby traps.
It really indicates that this was a short-range kill.
And here's the wild part. Scientists have actually confirmed some of this is real. Subscribe now because some secrets are buried for a reason. Who was Qin Shi Huang?
Qin Shi Huang is literally the first emperor in China.
Before we talk about the tomb, we need to understand the man inside it, because this was no ordinary ruler. Qin Shi Huang reigned between 221 BCE and 210 BCE and was the first emperor of a unified China. He created the Great Wall of China and laid down a vast national road system. Think about that for a second. One man pulled together an entire scattered nation, built one of the most recognizable structures in human history, and standardized everything from currency to writing, all in a single reign. But power like that doesn't come without a dark side. Qin Shi Huang was a ruthless ruler who banned books he didn't approve of, allegedly buried scholars alive, and used hundreds of thousands of workers, many of them prisoners, to fuel his massive construction projects. He wasn't just building an empire, he was building a legacy that he expected to last forever. A considerable portion of his life was dedicated to pursuing a legendary elixir of immortality, a quest many believed in fervently. He embarked on extensive journeys searching for this mythical potion, even dispatching an expedition to locate a legendary island rumored to hold vast quantities of this miraculous elixir. The man genuinely believed he could cheat death, and when he couldn't find a magic potion, he did the next best thing. He built himself an empire underground. The discovery that shocked the world for centuries, that quiet hill in China's Shanxi province sat there completely ignored. Locals knew it existed, but no one really understood what was underneath. Then in 1974, everything changed. In 1974, farmers digging a well near Xi'an broke through the roof of a buried pit and found a life-size clay soldier staring back at them. Subsequent excavation revealed 3 more pits containing over 8,000 individual terracotta figures, bronze weapons, horses, and chariots, all positioned as if on permanent watch facing east. Imagine being one of those farmers. You're just digging a well, minding your business, and you hit the face of a clay warrior staring up at you from the dirt. There are surprisingly few records of the terracotta army, despite the scale of the project, now known to be funerary art, buried with Emperor Qin Shi Huang in 210 to 209 BCE. The workforce may have involved up to 700,000 craftsmen and laborers from all corners of the Qin Empire, some of whom were slaves who may have been executed once they had fulfilled their duties. But here's the thing that most people miss. The terracotta army wasn't even the main attraction. The army itself is but part of a much larger and even more mysterious tomb to one of China's most important historical figures. The complex is located in today's Lintong district in Xi'an, Shanxi, and covers approximately 21.71 square miles. The warriors were just the guards. The real prize, the emperor's actual burial chamber, hasn't been touched. Not once, not ever. What the ancient texts say is inside. So what are we actually dealing with here? What's supposed to be in that sealed chamber? The most detailed account we have comes from a historian named Sima Qian, who wrote about it roughly a century after the emperor's death. His account describes palaces and scenic towers for 100 officials were constructed, and the tomb was filled with rare artifacts and wonderful treasure. Craftsmen were ordered to make crossbows and arrows primed to shoot at anyone entering the tomb. Mercury was used to simulate the 100 rivers, the Yangtze, Yellow River, and the Great Sea, and set to flow mechanically. Above were representations of the heavenly constellations, below the features of the land. Read that again slowly. We're talking about a full underground palace, complete with a ceiling designed to look like the night sky and a working mechanical map of China made from flowing liquid mercury. This isn't a grave, this is an entire underground world built for one man's afterlife. A research team in 2005 used a combination of ground-penetrating radar, electrical resistance measurements, and core samples, all gathered from outside to build up a picture of the mound's interior. It showed a large pyramid shape carved inside, and within it a hermetically sealed space the size of a football pitch that can only be the location of the first emperor's tomb. A sealed underground space the size of a football pitch, and nobody has set foot in it for over 2,200 years. The mercury problem. And it's very real.
Of course, what he didn't know was that this was actually the most important archaeological finding in China of the last 100 years.
Here's where things go from fascinating to genuinely alarming. The rivers of mercury that Sima Qian described, scientists have actually found evidence that they're there. Not just a little evidence, a lot of it. Soil samples taken from and around the burial mound consistently show mercury concentrations significantly above local background levels, with the highest concentrations in areas corresponding to the locations Sima Qian described for the miniature rivers. The ancient text lines up with modern scientific data. That's extraordinary. In multiple locations around the burial mound, researchers recorded mercury concentrations of up to 27 nanograms per cubic meter, significantly higher than the typical background range of 5 to 10 nanograms per cubic meter in the region. The hot spots aligned with previous soil mercury anomalies detected near the western and southern slopes of the tomb. And this wasn't a rough estimate. Researchers used a mobile differential absorption LiDAR system, essentially a laser radar, to map atmospheric mercury concentrations from 3 different positions around the mound. One soil measurement point reached 1,440 parts per billion, while the average of 53 other points reached around 205 parts per billion. To put that in perspective, anything above a few parts per billion is already considered concerning for human exposure. And if the tomb is opened without the right containment protocols, all of that mercury could volatilize rapidly and spread. This isn't just a preservation headache, it's a genuine environmental and health hazard. The booby trap question. Now let's talk about the part that makes this feel like a real-life Indiana Jones film, the reported booby traps. The ancient account specifically mentions crossbows rigged to fire automatically at anyone who enters. Is this real or just ancient storytelling? Honestly, we don't know for certain because no one has been inside. But here's what we do know. The engineering skill of the Qin dynasty was genuinely advanced. The weapons found in the terracotta army pits were functional, not ceremonial, real crossbow triggers, real swords, real spearheads stored in a pit for the afterlife, as if the emperor genuinely expected to need a real army there. These people absolutely had the technical ability to build mechanical trigger systems.
Tomb builders here were so intent on getting everything perfect for their prince.
So strong is the belief in these booby traps that even today Chinese archaeologists are nervous about what they might have to navigate past in order to reach the rumored treasure inside. Now, is this fear based on solid evidence? Not directly. But consider this. If they built 8,000 life-size warriors out of individually crafted clay with real bronze weapons, is it really that hard to imagine they also rigged the entrance with a few surprises? The question of whether automatic crossbow mechanisms could still function after 2,200 years underground is another matter entirely. Most experts think the mechanical components would have degraded significantly over time. But probably degraded and definitely safe are two very different things, and no archaeologist wants to be the one who finds out the hard way. The color crisis. What happened to the terracotta warriors? One of the most heartbreaking and scientifically important lessons from this entire site came from the terracotta warriors themselves. It directly explains why archaeologists are so deeply reluctant to open the main tomb. When the terracotta warriors were first uncovered, many were found painted in vivid colors. However, once exposed to air, the pigments began to deteriorate almost immediately. Today, the once colorful statues appear entirely bare, their original hues lost due to a sudden change in environmental conditions. When uncovering the first of the terracotta warriors, the lacquer beneath their painted faces curled within around 15 seconds after being exposed to the air. 15 seconds. That's all it took to begin destroying something that had survived for over 2 millennia underground. Once that damage is done, you cannot undo it. You cannot put the paint back. The color is gone forever. If archaeologists decide to breach the tomb, changes in temperature and humidity, the introduction of oxygen and the presence of microbes could, in theory, irreparably damage anything in there. Lacquered coffins, silk banners, painted sculptures, documents, weapons, tapestries, and other organic materials inside would be put at unacceptable risk. The warriors were just the rehearsal. The main chamber is the real performance, and nobody wants to ruin it. The sheer scale of the problem. People often assume that opening the tomb is just a matter of digging carefully with small brushes. The reality is far more complicated and far more humbling. Covering a total area of approximately 56 square kilometers, the site features a burial mound that still stands over 70 meters high. For comparison, archaeologists have spent more than 50 years excavating only about 1/3 of the 3 main terracotta army pits. The Qin Shi Huang mausoleum covers an area roughly 1,300 times larger than these pits. 50 years. 1/3 of just the pits. And the main tomb is 1,300 times bigger. To protect every cultural relic, the use of bulldozers, excavators, and explosives would be banned, meaning extensive manual labor would be necessary over a long period. This would slow down the process and call for a large shelter to shield the site from harsh weather. We're potentially talking about a project that could take centuries to complete properly. That is not an exaggeration, that is what experts have genuinely estimated. There is also a structural uncertainty that geophysical methods cannot yet fully resolve. Remote sensing and core sampling can identify the presence of voids, walls, and floor levels, but they cannot guarantee that rammed earth vaults, timber structures, or stone linings will survive the new stresses that opening creates. You could have the best tools in the world and still not know exactly what's going to happen when you start cutting into a structure that has been sitting undisturbed for over 2,000 years. What a past excavation disaster taught China. China isn't making decisions about this tomb in a vacuum. They have a very painful lesson from their own history that shaped their current approach to sites like this one. In the past, due to underdeveloped preservation techniques, the hasty excavation of cultural sites, such as the mausoleum of Emperor Zhu Yijun in Beijing, led to tragic and irreversible damage to numerous relics once they were exposed to air. Emperor Zhu Yijun was a Ming dynasty ruler, and when his tomb was opened in 1956, the excavation went badly. Silk garments rotted almost immediately upon exposure. Documents crumbled. Wooden furniture warped and split. It was a preservation catastrophe that archaeologists in China still talk about today. That experience directly changed national policy. Currently, China's policy for imperial mausoleums focuses on preservation over excavation, guided by the principle of preserve first, excavate only when necessary. The guiding philosophy is to avoid active excavation whenever possible, based on lessons from past archaeological work. If relics remain in a relatively stable state underground, it's safer not to disturb them. This isn't a lack of ambition or scientific curiosity. It's actually the opposite. It's a deep respect for the irreplaceable nature of what's down there. Leaving it sealed until technology is ready is the smartest move available. A mistake here cannot be corrected. History cannot be put back underground. The political dimension nobody talks about. Beyond the science and the engineering, there's another layer to why this tomb stays sealed, and it has everything to do with politics and national identity. Politically, Qin Shi Huang is not just a historical figure, he is foundational to China's national narrative, both as a unifier and an autocrat. To this end, his tomb is effectively a state monument. A failed excavation or catastrophic preservation mistake would become a national outrage. Allowing time for technology to mature also protects the government's reputation. China is known for deep conservatism in archaeological decision-making, particularly with politically symbolic sites. Think about what it would mean if China excavated the tomb and something went catastrophically wrong, if they opened it and everything inside crumbled to dust, or if mercury poisoning injured workers, or if the chamber collapsed. The backlash would be enormous. This isn't just an archaeological site, it's the burial place of the man who created China itself. There's also the question of what the tomb might reveal. Ancient texts describe things like mass graves of craftsmen who were reportedly killed to keep the tomb's secrets. Archaeologists have discovered mass graves that appear to hold the remains of craftsmen and laborers, including convicted criminals in chains who died during the 3 decades it took to create the royal mausoleum. Some of what's in there could complicate the official historical narrative, and that's a sensitive thing to navigate for any government, let alone one as historically conscious as China's. What technology is actually seeing right now? Here's the good news. Scientists aren't just sitting around waiting. They're actively studying the tomb using some seriously impressive technology, and they're learning things that would have been completely impossible a generation ago. Archaeologists and scientists have been running a series of non-invasive explorations at the site, including ground-penetrating radar mapping of the internal structure. Teams have also conducted magnetometry to identify metal concentrations, gas sampling to detect volatile emissions, and high-resolution satellite imaging. Ground-penetrating radar has already confirmed the existence of large internal cavities and multi-level structures inside the mound. We know the chamber is there, we just can't get to it safely yet. Integrated geophysical methods including high-precision gravity surveys, magnetic surveys, electrical resistivity tomography, radioactive radon detection, and ground-penetrating radar were used to investigate the underground palace. Successful identification of the underground palace's distribution, as well as a thin compacted wall and coffin chambers in the burial mound, was confirmed. Scientists have also proposed using muon tomography, a technique that uses cosmic rays passing through solid objects to create detailed 3D images to map the interior of the tomb without touching it at all.
A little bit off screen. Those are likely the tops of coffins.
This is the same technology being explored inside the Egyptian pyramids. If it works there, it could work here. We are genuinely getting closer to being able to see inside this chamber without ever picking up a shovel. The Emperor's own strange quest for immortality. There's one more layer to this story that makes the whole thing feel almost poetic. and it comes back to the man himself. Seeing himself as a deity and coveting eternal life, Qin Shi Huang reportedly resorted to consuming a concoction of mercury, hoping it would confer immortality. This is one of the great historical ironies. The man who filled his tomb with enough mercury to simulate entire rivers apparently also drank mercury, believing it would make him live forever. Instead, it likely contributed to his death. He died at around 49 years old, which was relatively young even for that era. His obsession with immortality shaped everything about the tomb. He reportedly sent multiple expeditions searching for magical islands and elixirs. He consulted alchemists. He tried everything he could think of, and when none of it worked, he made sure his afterlife would at least be as grand as his earthly reign. He had the entire area many kilometers wide surrounding Mount Li transformed into an overground and underground city, protected by his own personal honor guard, the stunning terracotta warriors. The man who tried to live forever is now the most famous dead person in Chinese history. Guarded by 8,000 clay soldiers, surrounded by rivers of poisonous mercury, potentially protected by mechanical crossbows, and completely untouched for over 2,200 years. Whatever he was trying to achieve in the afterlife, he certainly made sure nobody would disturb him while he was doing it. Could it ever be opened? And what might we find? So here's the question everyone actually wants answered. Will this tomb ever be opened? And if it is, what on earth might be inside? Scientists are waiting for the technological advancements necessary to open the tomb without damaging what's inside. It's said that with time, the emperor's burial spot could be preserved and the potential magnificence wouldn't have to be lost. Curatorial consultant Kristen Romey told Live Science, "The big hill where the emperor is buried, nobody's been in there. Partly it's out of respect for the elders, but they also realize that nobody in the world right now has the technology to properly go in and excavate it." As for what's inside, based on the ancient texts, and what has already been found in the surrounding pits, experts speculate it could include bronze artifacts, jade objects, gold and silver pieces, silk documents, and possibly some of the most extraordinary ancient craftsmanship ever created. Some speculative theories suggest the tomb could contain extraordinary artifacts, lost texts, or even evidence of Qin Shi Huang's quest for immortality. Could there be documents in there that rewrite our understanding of early Chinese civilization? Could there be artistic or scientific achievements that we haven't even imagined yet? We genuinely don't know. And in a world where almost everything has been discovered, photographed, and cataloged, there's something almost thrilling about a mystery this large still existing. The biggest sealed tomb in the world sitting under a hill in China, still holding its secrets. For now, and maybe for a very long time, that's exactly where it stays. Qin Shi Huang, China's first emperor, built himself an underground palace over 38 years using hundreds of thousands of workers. It's protected by an 8,000-strong terracotta army, potentially rigged with ancient crossbow traps, and filled with real rivers of toxic liquid mercury. The tomb has been sealed since 210 BCE and has never been opened because the world's brightest archaeologists and scientists have collectively said, "We are not ready for this yet. The technology doesn't exist, the preservation methods aren't good enough, and the risk of destroying something irreplaceable is simply too high." Now, do you think this tomb should be opened in our lifetime, or should it stay sealed until the technology is truly ready? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this blows your mind, smash that like button and subscribe.